Hey everyone, what we're going to do today is a jig that I call my creeper craw. One of the reasons I wanted to do this is because I wanted to illustrate how uh, you can take one type of jig and just do strange, simple little variations and come up with something totally different, a different type of presentation. This one that we're going to do today, my creeper craw, is one this is an all year round jig. Real finessey, real easy to do. It looks a little busy, but it works well. You don't need a lot of rod input to get the jig to have some type of action, yet it still maintains a really nice profile. Uh, it's a really good one. I guess that's about the easiest way I could put it. But we're going to get started here. In the vise, we have a 1/8 ounce Arky style jig head with a 2/0 owner 5313 jig hook. It is weedless, and I have it made for an FG12 weed guard, which is 5/64 inch in diameter. The color is Crawdad, which is basically a dull pumpkin color, and it's got these real fine black and orange specks, but I know with the lighting and all, it's going to get some glare, so you're not going to see all of it. But it is a really good pumpkin style color. Uh, so we're going to get started. We're going to use 210 denier flat wax nylon in olive. And I'm going to start it down here on the hook shank right below the collar. We'll just get a little bit of a base started. And we're going to go down just about to the point of the hook, maybe a little past. That's all you need. And the first thing we're going to do is this is the medium size ultra chenille, and it's olive in color. This ultra chenille is the fibers are real small on it. It's a really hard type of chenille, like even pulling a little bit fibers off the end there to expose that core isn't so easy. Uh, this is a really good one to make like chenille balls uh, to separate material or to create a flare on jigs without a collar. So that's why we're using the ultra chenille. But you could use others if you want to add a little like hot spot. You can use like an orange new age chenille or something. But for this Allegheny craw type pattern that we're going to do, the ultra chenille and olive is going to be good. And I'm just going to make a couple wraps to get that core tied down. And we're going to wrap our chenille, not a whole lot, just a couple wraps. 3, and then we'll tie it off there. Very simple. And you see that ball, the end of the ball comes right to the end of the point of the hook. So that'll give you a gauge of where to put that. Now, we're going to flip it up, and we're going to add some antenna here. And what I got is some silicone. 2 strands of each, 4 strands total. 2 strands of Nature's Edge green pumpkin and 2 strands of Nature's Edge orange. What I like to do is even it up. And then we'll put it in just like that. Make a couple wraps. Fold that over. And in the case of what happened here, which is why you don't want to wrap everything right down, I made it a little bit off kilter. So what I got to do is add a little more there. It was uneven is what I meant by off kilter. Doesn't have to be perfect, but got to be at least in the ballpark. And what I want to do is make sure all my silicone material remains on top here when I wrap this in and tighten it down. And we're good. Now we're going to take some rabbit strips. This is rust brown, depending on where you buy it. I'm just going to lay that right on top. Make 2 wraps just to hold it in place for now. And then I'll do the same thing with the other side. This is probably one of the hardest parts of this, is trying to get it that you're not trapping any of this silicone down. And then we're going to wrap it forward to that chenille ball. And now our claws are tied in. Now I'm going to turn this back around, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie in some more rabbit hair. Now this is cross-cut. This is cross-cut dark brown. And the reason I want the dark brown, because we're going to have another color that's going to go over top of it, and it won't show up. It actually shows up underneath in the water. It does a really nice job, which is why the dark brown comes out really well. If I used like the rust or just straight up green pumpkin or olive, it wouldn't show up as well. You wouldn't see the 2 colors. It'd look like one or blend together. In this case, the dark brown really pops. So I'm going to put our cross-cut dark brown there. We're going to make just 2 wraps, just enough that we have that brown in there, because it's going to be like an underlay type color. It's not the predominant color. And once I have that, I'll just cut it off. And we got our brown in. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add olive cross-cut rabbit. Very similar to the Ultimate Creeper. But there is going to be a little difference. Like I said, instead of having the trailer, we got the rabbit strip claws tied in. So there's no trailer needed with this. Now I'm going to move my thread up onto the collar, and we're going to wrap our cross-cut olive in. And all we're doing is just going up onto this collar, and I'll tie it off there. What's nice about this type of jig, like even with the creeper, is the multiple layers. I mean, you got hair, on the creeper jig, you got a little bit of silicone, you got the rabbit strip. Uh, it's just multiple layers of different types of movement, and then you add a trailer onto it, and it just makes it a complete package. This here is the same thing, except now we have the claws, like I said, and you got, again, the multiple layers with your rabbit hair and silicone. It's just a well-rounded jig. It just works. Now you see I had that notch. Should have showed that before. But there's a little notch that I cut out here in the beginning. I had that. It's not much, but it's higher up. Where on the creeper jig, I had a little notch cut right above that ball collar. Well, now I just cut the notch up a little bit higher, and that's to help with flare with our silicone skirt material. That's all it's for. I didn't cut it real deep. If I made it deep, I would make it more like a puffball style jig. But in this case, it's just a notch to help. It helps lock in the material, but it also creates a little flare. And what we got here is we got 8 strands. And again, this is green pumpkin, nature's edge, and then we're going to have the orange nature's edge. I love this stuff. And what I want is I'm going to lay this there that our tab comes to about the middle of that hair. I'll just make a wrap here just to hold it. I don't want a whole lot of thread because I don't want it building up real quick. And I'm going to just fold it over. Make another wrap just to hold it in place. And now I can even my material out. I know it doesn't look like it's going that far down, but I don't really want it to go all the way down to silicone. I want it to stay up top. Because I want that like top heavy type profile. Now, so far, so good, but we're not done yet. We're going to take some orange nature's edge, and I'm going to go over the top. I'm going to fold it over just like I did before. And now I can distribute my silicone. As I told you, it's busy. It's a real busy jig. It overkill, kind of. But I wanted to show you this just to illustrate, like I said, just how you could take one type of jig and do just a slight variation, and you come up with a whole different presentation. Just a little bit more on the side here. That's good enough. And now we're going to tighten this down. I have no place to even put like a clip, so bear with me here. That's the only thing wrong with this. So when I make my collar, I got to be very careful I don't trap any of that material down because it is top heavy there. Now, before I whip finish this, I'm going to see right where I want to go here, and I don't want to cut it too close to the head. Probably right halfway from the top of the head to the top of this material here, probably right in the middle there. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut it now. I might have made it just a hair too short. That's not a big deal. It's just going to be a pain to whip finish, that's all. The hardest part. Four more and we're good to go. If I would have left them a little bit longer, it wouldn't have been so bad, but live and learn, right? It's not always perfect. Okay, now I just got to cut these bottom ones free. That one. And the reason I'm doing one tab at a time is because I'll end up cutting some of that hair, because it does tend to get grabbed into the silicone. It sticks to it for some reason. I apologize for taking so long here and trying to keep my fingers out of the way. Same thing down here. We're going to cut these free. And there's that. Put a little bit of head cement on there. A jig like this is where it's real nice with this loon stuff, because it doesn't leave that residue on you. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to put our weed guard in. I'm going to show you what we have. Take our super glue gel. And if I never explain that, the reason you want to use the gel with your weed guard, with a fiber guard, is because if you use regular super glue, it'll wick up the fiber of this weed guard, and the next thing you know, the whole thing will be all white and nasty, and you'll actually be able to pull it out fairly easy. But the super glue gel does a great job. And there is our creeper craw. Like I said, it doesn't look like a whole lot right now. Got to try to find a way that you can see this. Trying to hold it by the weed guard is about the best way. Let me get a clamp here, and it's kind of hard with this Arky head. There we go. You see how this silicone material is up here. When this is sitting in the water, what you get is it's going to look similar to, if you go back in my channel and you look at the rusty Craw Jig, this is going to have a similar profile. It's going to sit up like that, but you're going to see how this all this silicone material really comes into play with the profile. But no trailer needed. already built in. There you have it. That is our creeper craw in the Allegheny craw pattern. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.